Welcome, deep divers. Today, we're unpacking really a compelling mix of sources.
Yeah, quite a range.
We've got everything from, the electric atmosphere of a historic boxing match, all the way to California's complex legislative journey towards reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll get into some crucial advice for building generational wealth, which is vital.
Absolutely.
And then, unfortunately, we have to confront the sobering reality of violence in the U.S.
A tough but necessary topic.
Right. And finally, we'll scrutinize the challenging state of our nation's student performance based on the latest report card.
Okay.
Our mission, like always, is to pull out the most impactful insights, really give you a fresh perspective on these critical developments. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we kick things off with a story of, let's say, ambition and luxury. It's a journey from L.A. to Las Vegas for a boxing match that, well, it really made history.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the huge showdown between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Bud Crawford.
The fight everyone was waiting for.
Exactly. And the source notes that the road trip itself, 270 miles, kind of set the tone. The vehicle, a 2026 GMC Denali, highlighting its, comfort and class.
Nice touch.
Yeah, think cooled seats, pretty essential in that desert heat. A premium Bose sound system, huge central screen for nav, media, climate, everything.
Sounds luxurious.
Totally. And there was even a quick detour to the Seven Magic Mountains. Kind of a splash of color in the Mojave,
Yeah.
A visual reminder that bold things can stand tall.
That journey itself is really key, isn't it?
How so?
Well, it's not just about the fight, but it builds that personal anticipation, like you're part of witnessing history unfold. Grounds you in the experience before the arena buzz even starts.
That's a great point. And that anticipation, it only ramped up at the weigh-in on Friday.
Yeah.
T-Mobile Arena.
Right.
Our source describes the atmosphere as electric, especially that moment Canelo and Crawford locked eyes.
Ah, the stare down.
Yeah, but no theatrics, no pushing, just this intense, cold focus is how the source put it. From both guys, Dana White was right there between them. Saudi advisor Turki Al-Sheikh watching nearby.
High stakes, big players.
Definitely. And Crawford, he seemed loose, but totally locked in. He actually said afterwards, confidently, when Canelo signed the contract, that's when I knew I would win.
Wow. That's bold.
Right. Canelo, on the other hand, just looked like carved from stone. Very stoic.
That statement from Crawford is fascinating, though. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, how much of a mega fight's outcome is shaped before the first bell?
In the mind games?
Exactly. In that psychological chess match, the preparation, Crawford's confidence there, it suggests maybe a mental edge Canelo couldn't quite crack.
It could be. Then came Fight Night, Allegiant Stadium, under the lights, and get this, a record-breaking 70,482 fans.
Incredible numbers.
And our sources, they make it clear right from the start, this wasn't going to be some slugfest. It was a chess match.
Tactical.
Very. Canelo, his style, the relentless aggressor, pushing forward, landing those short, hard right hooks to the body.
Classic Canelo pressure.
But Crawford, described as calm and coiled. He just masterfully studied him, adapted, made reads, tested the footwork.
Playing it smart.
Totally. Firing calculated jabs from both orthodox and southpaw stances. Really kept him guessing.
That adaptability is key at that level.
And Crawford's own assessment after the fight kind of sums it up. He said, the first 3 rounds, I felt like I was in control. I think he was trying to figure me out.
So he felt he had the measure of him early?
Seems like it. Because by the 4th round, Crawford's rhythm really settled in. He started finding the mark with clean counters, slipping Canelo's big power punches, pivoting out of danger.
Making him miss, making him pay.
Exactly. And you could see Canelo getting visibly frustrated. Our source actually called Crawford's performance a masterclass in movement, mind, and legacy.
High praise.
For sure.
Yeah.
He consistently outthought and outmaneuvered Canelo. Even Canelo himself, pretty honest post-fight, admitted, you're not giving him enough credit. I trained hard, but I just couldn't figure out the style.
Wow. Respect for admitting that.
Definitely. And when that final bell rang, Crawford just dropped to a knee in prayer. Said, God don't make no mistakes. It's God's plan, not my plan.
Powerful moment.
And the judges. They saw it clearly. 116, 112, 115, 113, 115, 113. A clean sweep for Crawford.
But what makes this win truly, historic is that second undisputed crown
Sure.
across different weight classes.
Well, right. Nobody's done that before. No man.
Exactly. This isn't just a win. It's kind of a paradigm shift, you know? His methodical dominance, that chess match style against a power puncher like Canelo, it's sort of redefining peak performance in boxing.
It really feels like it. And the records broken just underline the sheer magnitude. 70,482 fans. Largest ever at Allegiant Stadium.
Huge.
A $47.2 million live gate. Highest single-day gate there. It was even the second highest indoor boxing attendance in U.S. history. Only Ali Spinks II was bigger.
That's legendary company.
Right. And the celebrity turnout was just massive. Mike Tyson, Lizzo, SCA, Dave Chappelle, Mark Wahlberg, Charlize Theron, Chance the Rapper, tons more. It really cemented its status as a, cultural moment.
Mm-hmm. And his comments after captured it perfectly. Great things come to those who wait. The cream always rises to the top.
Yeah, and he also added, they said I wasn't fighting nobody. I can't beat this dude. I can't beat that dude. I wiped the floor with him.
You can feel the vindication there, right? That speaks to this profound resilience, overcoming all that skepticism to reach the absolute pinnacle.
Totally. So the drive back to L.A. in the Denali, our source says it became this kind of mobile reflection chamber, just digesting the sheer magnitude of what they'd witnessed.
Yeah, I bet.
Crawford solidifying his case, as maybe the best fighter of this generation, outclassing a legend, redefining dominance. Big stuff.
Absolutely. A huge night for boxing.
Okay, so moving from one kind of, let's say, legacy building in the ring.
Right.
We now shift focus to another, much more complex form. California's legislative journey toward reparations.
Ah, yes. This is significant.
We're diving into the California Legislative Black Caucus's multi-year Road to Repair initiative. Specifically, 5 reparations bills that have now landed on Governor Newsom's desk.
It's really insightful to see how California is approaching this. They're kind of stress testing various legal and social methods for repair all at once.
A multi-pronged strategy.
Exactly. You've got land restitution, bureaucratic changes. It creates this blueprint or maybe, a battleground for how these incredibly complex historical injustices might be addressed. There are lessons here regardless of the final outcomes, I think.
Okay, let's start with one specific bill, Assembly Bill 62, or AB 62, authored by Assemblymember Tina McKinner from Inglewood.
Okay.
It passed the Assembly 66-4. Now it's waiting for Newsom's signature or veto by October 12th.
And what's the core aim of AB 62?
It aims to provide restitution for victims and their descendants of what's termed racially motivated eminent domain.
Right, taking property based on race.
Exactly. McKinner said it will help the descendants of chattel slavery at the top, but it helps every Californian whose home or property was taken through eminent domain. So a broader scope, too.
Interesting framing.
And just to be clear, for everyone listening, racially motivated eminent domain means the government taking private property for public use without fair compensation, specifically because of the owner's race or ethnicity.
Got it.
Under this bill, the California Civil Rights Department would review and investigate applications for this restitution.
Okay.
Our source does note 4 Republican Assembly members voted no, but it cleared the Senate 30-7. And this bill, it really builds on the momentum from California returning Bruce's Beach in L.A. County.
Ah, yes, that was a landmark case.
Right, where property was unjustly taken from Willa and Charles Bruce's descendants. McKinner explicitly says it's similar to Bruce's Beach.
So this approach, it's setting some pretty significant legal and historical precedents for restitution, isn't it?
Seems like it.
It really forces us to redefine what just compensation even means when you're talking about historical harm, sometimes generations back. It's quite a profound shift in perspective.
Definitely. And beyond AB 62, there are several other reparative justice bills from the CLBC also heading to Newsom's desk.
Okay, what else is in the package?
There's AB 766 from Assemblymember Lachey Sharp Collins of San Diego. This one mandates state agencies perform a racial equity analysis on new regulations and budget requests.
So embedding equity checks into the system.
Kind of. Then there's AB 742 by Assemblymember Said El-Ouari from L.A. This requires state licensing boards to speed up applications for people certified as descendants of American slaves.
Okay, addressing potential barriers there.
Then from the Senate side, we have SB 437. This is from Senator Akilah Weber Pearson, who chairs the CLBC.
Right.
This bill directs Cal State University, CSU, to research and develop methods for verifying someone's status as a descendant of a person enslaved in the U.S. It authorizes up to $6 million for that research.
Verification is a huge, complex piece of this.
Absolutely. And SB 518, also from Senator Weber Pearson, establishes a new bureau for descendants of American slavery within the Department of Justice. The aim is to address past and ongoing harms from slavery and discriminatory policies.
Wow. The sheer scope of these bills, I mean, from potential financial restitution to institutional analysis to creating new government bodies, it's quite remarkable.
They seem comprehensive.
It really shows a systemic attempt to tackle these historical grievances, moving way beyond just one single approach.
However, and this is a big however, not everyone agrees on this strategy.
Well, internal disagreement.
Yeah. The Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, CJEC, which is a grassroots reparations group, has apparently been forcefully fighting against Senator Weber Pearson's bills, specifically SB 437 and SB 518.
The research and the new bureau bills, why?
Chris Lotson, their lead organizer, claims those bills are actually undermining real reparations. He says they divert, delay, and diminish the urgent demand for reparations.
Delay? How so?
He's asking the governor to veto both. This quote is pretty strong. Reparations delayed are reparations denied. California cannot study, stall, or divert its way out of its responsibility.
Okay, so that's a significant objection. It sounds like even within the reparations movement itself, there's a real divide on how to best achieve justice. Does the source explain why they see these specific bills as delays?
Our sources suggest groups like CJEC worry that focusing on studies and setting up new bureaus, while maybe necessary steps for some, could slow down more direct forms of repair, like financial payments or land restitution, which they see as more immediate and impactful.
Ah, I see. The classic tension between process and immediate action.
Exactly. So for you listening, this whole legislative package is definitely pushing the conversation forward in California. But the exact path, the very definition of repair, it remains, intensely debated, even among the advocates.
It's fascinating and complex stuff.
Okay, let's pivot now. We're moving to a topic that's critically important for, personal and generational well-being.
Estate
planning.
Right. This is essential.
We're drawing insights here from Constance Carter. She's the founder of California's largest independent Black-owned real estate firm and a best-selling author.
And Carter's framing of estate planning is it's particularly striking. She doesn't just see it as, a financial task.
Oh, go.
She calls it a fundamental act of survival and power, which really elevates it, doesn't it? Makes it like a strategic imperative for community progress, even personal liberation.
It really does. She states it so powerfully. Estate planning isn't just paperwork. It's survival. It's power. And it's how we make sure that our children inherit more than just debt.
Powerful.
The core problem she identifies is that Black families often work hard, build assets, but then leave those assets exposed because the planning part gets delayed or just skipped altogether.
And that's such a profound point, especially when you consider the history, right?
Yeah.
Carter highlights how Black communities are, as she puts it, already behind the 8 ball when it comes to building wealth because of systemic barriers, redlining, predatory lending.
Right, all those historical factors.
And when you layer on the fact that 90% of wealth in this country is passed intergenerationally, and 80% of that is through real estate, well, the lack of planning in Black communities becomes this critical point of vulnerability.
Okay, let's get practical then. Carter clearly explains the difference between a will and a living trust. This is key.
Yes, very important distinction.
A will, she says, is basically just instructions.
Yeah.
And importantly, it will be contested in probate court, which can tie up assets for years, cause family fights.
A potential nightmare, yeah.
Whereas a living trust, she contrasts, provides binding directives. It's a legally binding instrument to pass property generationally. It transfers property clearly, efficiently, and crucially avoids probate court entirely.
That distinction is just so crucial for practical application. Truly understanding the difference between these legal tools can honestly prevent so much future heartache and make sure assets go where intended, protecting that family legacy.
And Carter notes, trust can cost maybe $1,500, $3,000. But she argues the protection, even if you only own one property, is absolutely worth it.
The cost of not having one can be much higher.
Exactly. And to make it more accessible, she actually created a $25 ebook. It walks you through drafting a living trust, getting it notarized, the recording requirements state by state, trying to lower that barrier.
That's great, making it accessible.
Now, for new families, Carter says the very first step, life insurance. And her quote here really hit me. It is a sin before God for you to be having chicken dinners and GoFundMe accounts to bury your loved ones.
Ooh, direct.
Very direct. She adds, pulling from Proverbs, "A good man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children." It's a powerful, maybe uncomfortable truth she's delivering there.
Yeah.
But many of us have seen those GoFundMes, right?
Yeah.
It really underscores the urgency.
It really does. And her point cuts deep because, for many Black families, the trauma of losing generational wealth isn't just financial. It's like this silent wound passed down.
Right.
So her framework, it reframes estate planning. It's not just some cold legal thing. It becomes an act of like communal healing, future-proofing the family. It challenges those psychological barriers that stop these vital conversations about death and money from happening.
That's a great way to put it. And finally, there's this powerful message of empowerment from her work with the Net7 Collective.
Ah, yes. Tell us about that.
It's a community, nationwide and international, of Black women focused on building seven-figure net worths. And her belief is clear. When you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you teach a nation.
Strong belief in collective uplift.
And she just dismisses those dire predictions, the ones saying Black household wealth could hit zero by 2053. She dismisses them with this remarkable optimism.
Really? How so?
She says, basically, they didn't F around and they gave us the internet. They gave us the internet, AI, and we have each other. Nobody is coming to save us. We have got to be the ones. And the only way we can do it is together.
Wow. That statement really underscores this proactive, community-driven approach to economic empowerment, doesn't it?
Totally.
It highlights the power of collective action, especially among Black women, in really charting their own financial course against some pretty daunting odds.
Okay. We've just talked about building and protecting wealth as an act of survival.
Right.
Now, let's confront a different kind of threat to survival, to community well-being.
Yeah.
The rising tide of violence in America, both political and, general gun violence.
Yeah, this is a heavy one. Our sources paint a pretty stark picture of recent events and the debates around them.
They really do.
The immediate thing that jumps out is the current climate. It's not just the incidents themselves, horrific as they are, but the almost instantaneous, widespread awareness of the violence now.
Through social media and news.
Exactly. And the palpable tensions in political discourse that erupt right afterwards, it feels very immediate.
It does. Let's look at some of the recent, really troubling events highlighted in our sources. The violent shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, at Utah Valley University. It quickly became news of his death.
A shocking event.
And tragically, it happened on the same day as another mass shooting, this one at Evergreen High School in Colorado.
Just awful. And what's particularly noteworthy about the Kirk situation is the context, right?
You mean the protests?
Yeah. His appearance was framed around free speech, but over 6,000 students and faculty had signed a petition against him speaking there. It really throws into sharp relief that complex, difficult interplay between fundamental rights and very real public safety concerns, especially on campuses.
That's true. And our source also recounts the immediate reaction right there in the U.S. House of Representatives.
What happened there?
Apparently, chaos erupted on the floor during a long vote series. Several Democrats started shouting, "Pass some gun laws." Republicans fired back verbally, telling them to sit down until Speaker Mike Johnson finally banged the gavel.
Wow. Tensions boiling over right on the House floor.
And political violence itself, it's not entirely new, sadly, but we've seen some deeply disturbing incidents recently.
Like what?
The source mentions the assassination of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark at their home back on June 14, 2025. She was the leader of the State House Democratic Caucus.
Horrific.
And remember the incident back on July 13, 2024, when President Trump was grazed in the ear by a bullet.
Yes, of course.
And Corey Compertor, 50 years old, was shot dead by a man with an AR-15-style rifle during that same attack.
Just incredibly chilling events. And zooming out, the broader implication here, our sources point to a sharp rise in mass shootings since the federal assault weapons ban expired back in 2004.
That's a key point they make.
Yeah, and they state that 16,000 people died from gun violence in 2024 alone. And that number excludes suicides. It really underscores the scale and persistence of this crisis.
The debate around these incidents is, well, it's intense, as you'd expect. Many argue incidents shouldn't be politicized. Others insist something has to be done.
The familiar push and pull.
Right. Our source mentions attempts from the right to, quote, politically weaponize Kirk's death, and notes Kirk himself was a fervent Second Amendment advocate.
It's that familiar tension, isn't it? But when you have events like the Kirk shooting or the Hortman assassination sparking these immediate calls for action, Can these tragedies truly avoid being politicized?
What do you mean?
Well, does the call for no politics effectively become a political stance itself? Maybe one that delays or prevents action?
It's a tough question.
That is a challenging thought. Our source brings in voices like progressive YouTube commentator Brian Tyler Cohen. He wrote, "The Charlie Kirk shooting is beyond horrific. Legitimately disgusted at the broken state of this country."
Raw reaction there. And Fred Guttenberg, whose daughter Jane was killed in the Parkland High School shooting, he offered this really poignant statement. He noted the school shooting that same day, too, and said, "Bullets don't know and don't care if you are a Republican or a Democrat. It is time for Republicans and Democrats to find a way to work together to reduce gun violence."
That's a powerful call for unity, isn't it? Focusing on the shared human cost, cutting through the political noise.
It really is. So for you listening, it's this powerful call for focusing on the shared human cost, regardless of politics. But many are left wondering, what happens next as America continues to grapple with these escalating challenges to safety, to civil discourse.
Yeah, a deeply unsettling picture.
Okay, our final deep dive today takes us into the classroom. We're looking at the latest results from the National Assessment of Educational Progress, or NAEP, often called the nation's report card.
Right. And the news here is, well, it's quite troubling, unfortunately.
It really is.
What stands out immediately is just the sheer breadth of the decline. We're seeing it across multiple subjects, multiple grade levels. This isn't just like a blip in one area.
No.
It feels like a significant indicator for the future of U.S. education, maybe even a concerning signal for national progress overall.
Let's look at the numbers. This is from the 2024 assessment given between January and March to tens of thousands of students across the country.
Okay.
Let's start with Reading for 12th graders. The national average, 3 points lower than in 2019. And get this, a stark 10 points lower than when this assessment first started back in 1992.
Wow, a 10-point drop long term.
Yeah. And scores fell across almost all percentiles. Only the very top performers, the 90th percentile, held steady.
So the declines are hitting lower and middle performers harder.
Seems that way. Only 35% of 12th graders performed at or above what NAEP calls proficient in 2024. That's down from 37% in 2019. And maybe more worryingly, 32% scored below the NAEP basic level.
Nearly a third are below basic in reading by 12th grade.
Okay, mathematics, 12th graders again. Similar story. Average score dropped 3 points from 2019. It's also 3 points lower than back in 2005, when this current trend line began.
So no progress in nearly 2 decades, and now declining.
Right. And again, scores declined across almost all percentiles except the very top, the 90th. Just 24%, only a quarter of 12th graders, scored at or above proficient in math.
Only 24%.
While 40% scored below basic. That's up from 37% in 2019. 40% below basic in math by senior year.
That's deeply concerning. What about science?
Science for 8th graders also saw sharp declines. The average score was 4 points lower than in 2019. Declines across all 5 reported percentiles here.
Across the board.
Yeah. 38% of 8th graders scored below the basic level. That's up from 33% in 2019. And our source also notes that students' confidence in their science ability fell too. Fewer reported they could definitely do key science tasks.
So it's performance and confidence dropping. The immediate question then is, who is most affected by all these declines?
Right.
And the data, well, it shows declines across nearly every demographic group, every parental education level, particularly hitting those at the lower percentiles hardest. It really points to a widespread issue impacting a broad range of students, not just one specific group.
And this is where the impact really hits home. African American students remain disproportionately represented among the lower performers nationally.
Still, even with overall scores dropping.
Yes. Across reading, math, and science, they continue to score below the overall national average. Larger percentages are falling below that NAEP basic level, and fewer are reaching proficient or advanced.
So this isn't just like a detail. It feels like a window into something bigger, right?
How so?
Well, despite everyone's scores generally declining in 2024, that long-standing gap between African American students and their white and Asian peers, it hasn't narrowed. That points towards persistent structural challenges within the education system itself, things that aren't being fixed, even as overall performance drops for lots of kids.
That's a sobering point. So what else should we consider here? Beyond just the test scores, Students also filled out questionnaires.
About their learning environment.
Yeah, about learning opportunities, absenteeism, engagement, things NAEP officials think might help explain some of these troubling trends.
Context matters.
Definitely. And this data, it's watched incredibly closely by educators, policymakers, researchers. It's seen as this crucial indicator of how students are really doing and where those learning gaps are widening. It really serves as a call to action for some systemic improvements.
It's clear the nation's report card is pointing to some really significant challenges, things that require deep thought, innovative solutions for the future of our students.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a vast landscape today, haven't we?
We really have.
From the, the electric buzz of that historic boxing match to California's really complex legislative push for reparations. The absolutely crucial role of estate planning, especially for Black families.
Vital conversation.
Then that sobering look at violence across the nation.
Difficult but important.
And ending with these challenging trends in our education system.
What's truly fascinating, though, is how these topics, which seem so different on the surface, they're all connected, aren't they, by these underlying themes of legacy, justice, protection, the future of our communities. Each source gives us not just facts, but really a call to understand the forces shaping our world and their actual real-world impact.
That's a great point. We tried to highlight those specific details, those quotes that really bring the stories to life, Crawford's prayer and that defiant confidence.
Yeah.
Constance Carter's incredibly empowering message about economic self-sufficiency.
So inspiring.
And those urgent calls for collaboration on gun violence and education.
Our goal, really, was to give you a thorough but hopefully concise understanding without just overwhelming you with data dumps.
Right.
We hope you feel more informed, maybe better equipped to think critically about all these developments.
So the question maybe for all of us becomes, how do individual actions, whether it's in a boxing ring or in your own personal financial planning or getting involved in your community, how do those actions contribute to this larger story of societal change?
And what role does legislation, do government efforts play in either speeding that up or sometimes maybe hindering that progress?
Lots to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.